All right. Um, let's go through some of these.
Yes. Let's go over some of these.
Yeah, let's read it.
So I did look at his stats. His stats seem okay given the strategy he's playing. His ISO is significantly more frequent than the sims we have run, but in strings sims, his ISO frequency is almost exact.
Which ones are string sims?
String sims are the 0.1 rake cap. And they're like very low rake sims, but they're heads up and they have multi sizes. And they're ISOing like 33% and Brown is ISOing like 34%, from what I could tell.
Um, no, I think the new simulation that I run is ISOing about the same.
Okay.
I was doing that fine. String sim. Where's this one? I don't know if he's using the same simulation set. Um, he might
Oh
be.
yeah, I need you to show me how to view the sims in Monker because I'm still pretty retarded when it comes to Monker.
Yeah, sure. So this one in markup. So let's say, and I'll send you this new one. So basically, you just go into the solve tab, you open the folder, and then you go down and click the one you want to look at. So let's say this preflop one, or let's say the first preflop small blind one. Click load all streets.
Oh, I need to be doing this right now, don't I?
Yep. So you can try copy me.
All right, all right. Give me 1 sec. All right, I have it up.
Yep. So you click this open folder. So you go solve tab. Click this open folder for load,
Wait a minute.
and then you go down and you click the one that you want to load in. So if you don't have these in the correct folder, then you won't be able to see it.
Okay. Can you go through that again? Sorry.
So you open your Monka solver folder,
Hmm.
and then you open the saved runs folder, and you should paste the saved runs that are in the Google Drive into here.
All right. So I'm opening it directly from my files, or do I go into Monker Solver and load it from the client?
In your files in your folder setup.
Okay. That'll be in probably downloads.
Uh,
I
yeah,
might.
Monka solver probably makes one in the C drive. So do you want to share your screen so I can see what's going on?
Yeah. Let me make sure I've actually downloaded it, which I'm not entirely certain I have. Yeah, here we go. All right, so it's small blind VO2, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Password. I can share share my screen now. Or here.
Yeah, so that one's Monka Viewer.
Okay.
I mean that'll work as well.
Hopefully it does.
Yeah, I mean that
Let's do
that
it.
so you go to local, click the local tab. Yeah, there's nothing there. So close that because that's just open Monka Viewer. So go to your C drive. And then you go program files. And there's Monka Solver there. Yeah, scroll down. Okay, yeah, so open Monka Solver. Is it the right one? Yeah. Might be the wrong version. That's version 2.19.
Yeah. You want version 2 point something?
Yeah, let's go with the newer one, 2.25 if possible. Is that it?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's it. Here we go.
Oh, you got it on your desktop, right? So, yeah. So on your desktop, on the top next to your recycle bin, open that folder. Next to your recycle bin. Not your recycle bin. The folder next to your recycle bin.
Oh.
Yeah, Monka Solver. Yeah. Yeah, open that. All right. Yeah. Okay. So you want to be using this one. So go back to your C drive. Yeah. Go users. Owner, I think. And then Monka Solver. Yeah. Go saved runs. So you'll want to be putting your saved runs here. So from your downloads, just cut and paste it into there.
Okay.
Yeah, and now so that's still not going to work. So in Monka Solver, go solve. Yeah, and then this load tab. So just full screen it.
Load tab.
Yeah, so it's the third one from the top. So in run, it's a one. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, this one.
Yeah,
There we go.
and then yeah, open the one that you want to look at.
Which one do I want to look at?
Just load all streets.
This isn't the one that we were looking for, though. This is the one that we were looking for, I think. I think I might be able to open it. I should not have let Google generate a password for me. I should have done it myself. This is opening in Monker Viewer again.
Yeah, so that's not the right one. So go to settings. Yeah, that's Monka Viewer. We don't need to use Monka Viewer. Yeah, so go to solve. Try to open a run again. Click load.
Oh, load.
Yeah, and click go to.
Go to.
Go up.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I want to see where that folder is.
I think it's in.
Oh, you set it in Gdown. Yeah, yeah. So go to yeah, yeah. Go up one. Yeah, sure. Yeah, click that.
Load all streets.
Yep.
Is it loading? This is like the previous sim that we ran.
Try it again. Try opening it again. Yeah, just click on it. Click on it. Yeah. Click load.
Oh, there we
There you
go. Works. All right.
Okay, so this is the new sim. This is version 2, but I'm making a version 3 for you. With different 4-bet sizes for you because you were using 22 and 27, which is fine, but it wasn't correct within the sim. So,
Wasn't I could have sworn I preset the. I want to look at this now because I'm pretty sure it was probably correct for one of them. It was probably correct it was probably correct if I opened 2.1x and then he 3-bet me to his normal size. Because I'm pretty sure I had preset my buttons to the correct sizes. Yeah, this one is 26 and 21. Check this one. This one's 22 and 28. So
yeah. Anyway, I've changed it in version 3 to have all of them the same. So you can
just
have
one
the
4-bet size.
no two 4-bet sizes, but the same in each branch. So you'll have two 4-bet sizes still.
Yeah, what do you mean the same in each branch?
I'll show you. So yeah, I'll share my screen now.
Okay.
So this one's going to be version 3. So if we open and then he 3-bets, we go to this is 22 big blinds.
Mm-hmm.
This is 27 big blinds. And it's the
Yes.
same in the other one. If you get up into 2.7 and he 3-bets, this is 22 big blinds. And this is 27 big blinds.
Okay.
So it'll be slightly more accurate to the game that you're playing. The thing to note is that the small size is being used a lot more than what you were doing. So you were using the big size a lot. So
Yeah.
here, the small size in the small open line, he 3-bets you small. You're going to 4-bet small as well.
Mm-hmm.
You're almost always going to 4-bet to the small size.
Yeah, because he's a bit more polar when he 3-bets the small open, right? He's a bit more merged when he 3-bets against my big open. Is that accurate? So,
Yeah, sort of. So you 4-bet like
like
this.
small 4-bet probably has a bit more fold equity against the polar range than the merged range.
Yeah. And then there's the call 3-bet. And then I've simplified it so that so you're using a 12 BB 3-bet in the limp raise line. So limp 3-bet line. So this is going to be 12 and a half.
Okay.
So 12 and a half big blinds. And then you've got another size here, much more polar, which is just the pot size. So 15 big blinds. So there's a split between these two.
Nice. Nice.
Um, yeah.
How
So
many big blinds do you think were collecting across the game tree having the more complex strategy? Is it like 2 per 100, maybe?
Between 2 and 3, I think. Probably
Nice.
more if he's playing something slightly suboptimal. If he's playing slightly suboptimal ranges against your open, because this year, like, given his open sizes, like this is the best he can possibly do,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
given the sizes
Yeah,
that
I
he's
was I was
chosen.
thinking that. Um, and I would also give myself probably a slight advantage post flop. Even though there was definitely some opportunity costs in learning the pre-flop to the extent that I did, in terms of like I couldn't study as much post flop, but I have I'm gonna do a lot of studying. Well, as much studying as I can do tonight and tomorrow morning. Tomorrow is my birthday party, uh, along with my little sister. So we're having some family over because we have a birthday that's one day apart. But I will be doing quite a bit of studying tonight and tomorrow morning, and definitely going to be going over some single raise pot sims, especially because those sims are like just finishing up. So I do need to brush up on the single raise pot stuff a little bit. I did get to a little bit early on. I found that generally, like there's some flops that have overbets, but if you're splitting pre-flop sizes, generally the overbetting strategy will be much more prevalent in the big open size, and then the smaller open size is going to do a lot less overbetting in spots where you have the option to split.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
also goes for three bet pots. I found like when I three bet to the 9 big blind size, right? A lot more boards are like sort of range bets for like small sizes, especially the like the single Broadway boards, like the Jack high and Queen high single Broadway boards get seem to get range bet a lot for like a smaller size. And then there's a lot more big betting in the big three bet size. I've found.
Yeah, exactly. Um, anyway, so here is the folding ranges for each. So this is the folding range for the small open size against his 3 bet. This is the
Mhm.
folding range for the big size against his 3 bet. So you can see that they're almost identical. So that makes it easy in terms of knowing which hands to fold. The only difference is like
Yeah.
his queen two suited and like ace nine offsuit.
Mhm.
Really everything else is basically the same between the two. So as long as you're making the first split correctly, um, your continuing range is going to be the combos that you're going to continue with are going to be basically the same. So you just have to focus on um, being able to split it right. And once again, like you're not splitting like randomly. Certain combos aren't being taken into the big size, like King five suited, Jack six, 10-6,
This
Ace
is
two,
the
Ace five offsuit in the
this is
big
the
size.
this is what the not the initial open that we're talking about.
Yeah, this is
We're
the
talking.
initial open. Yeah,
Oh, this is the initial open. Okay. I wasn't sure if we were speaking on like the limp raise or
yeah, and this is the limp open range. So
yeah,
certain
yeah.
hands aren't in here.
I'm aware that there's like a lot of limps. There's like very few limps in like the low suited trash, and then there's some limps in like the middling suited hands, and then there's like very few like basically no limps in the suited Broadway ace and suited Broadway type hands. And then like on the offsuit side of things, like you limp more the lower your pocket pair is, and then there's fairly little limping with the higher offsuit ace x, and then the lower offsuit ace x start doing a fair bit of limping. And a lot of it seems to be like the lower your kicker for your offsuit hand is, the more limping you're going to be doing. And if it can make a straight, then you do less limping and a bit more big raising. And if it's connected, you tend to put it into the bigger size a bit more frequently. So there's like quite a bit of like 7-5 offsuit and 8-6 offsuit in the big size, I think. And there's also a bit of limping with those hands. But those hands don't seem to like the small size as much. They still use it quite a bit, but in terms of like the overall density of the 2.1x open, they seem a bit underrepresented in terms of frequency. But I memorized, like I said, to like the 10th place of so basically in my brain, I have every combo as a two digit number. Like I think for example, like ace king offsuit is a 3-7, ace queen offsuit's a 3-9, ace jack offsuit's a 2-7, ace 10 offsuit's a 2-7. So that just means if my RNG is below a 20, that means I big raise. If it's between 2 and 7, I small raise. If it's above a 7, I would limp. And so almost every hand has that 2-digit number. And then I also have some like the lower offsuit stuff has a lot of tens as the second number. So it's like queen 3 suited is 2-10, and then queen 2 suited is 6-10. And so that's sort of how I went about it. And I did the same thing with the 3-bets. So for hands that pure 3-bet, I just gave them one number. Like aces is an 8, kings is an 8, queens is an 8, jacks is a 7, tens is a 7, nines is an 8, eights are an 8. Sevens start splitting. So sevens is a 6-8, which means big size would be below a 60 on my RNG. And then between a 6 and an 8 is a small size. And then above an 8 is going to be a call pre-flop. So I'm actually playing pre-flop like, very well. I think that's a pretty big edge to be able to do what I do, and it took a lot of time to do that. So that's
yeah, great. So that's probably gonna change a little bit with the new lot. I mean, if you can try learn the new ones, that's fine. If you can't fit it in, I mean, it's just replacing the old ones. Once you understand the old ones, the new ones aren't going to be that different. And if you make a small mistake, it's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so the next thing is here, these ones I've uploaded into the folder. Probably
Oh yes, flop stuff.
yeah, so the flop things, probably you can try either of these two. So you notice there's going to be a difference. So the more splitting that you have on the turn, the better it is for the imposition player. And the less splitting that you have on the turn, the better it is for the out of position player. For both, I mean, if you guys both are splitting, so in general, try to have more splits than the other guy. So like the difference is like half a big blind behind rounds.
Yeah, I've been using multi-sizing strategies on every street. I know I've been scanning over the Twitch streams, and I know the commentators are like, "Oh yeah, I expect him to bet small here, and then I overbet." But like, it's all within a fairly tight RNG. Like I'm aware that like it can overbet, but it doesn't do it very frequently. So I do take sizes that Brown doesn't seem to take much variation in his post flop sizings. I've noticed he likes to use like for example on the river in the check down line in like a single raise pots like 4 big blinds, he likes to bet 6 big blinds, and then and then like sometimes he'll block for like quarter pot. He doesn't really use that many other sizings. I've found. I'll have to go through my database, but he seems to be playing a fairly simplified game tree, and admittedly, he's doing it very well. I haven't found many huge strategic leaks within the game tree he's coming with, but I think my game tree is better because it's more complex. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I don't think you will.
Yeah, so with that information, I can actually run new preflop sims and then force the the opponent in the sim to use his sizes. So
Mhm.
which sizes are is he? I wrote it down. Which sizes is he using for? Um, okay, first off, which sizes is he using for the limped pots for that first bet? And I've noticed he's not donking either, so I just removed that.
Yeah, I would honestly have to go through my database, but in the limped pots, yeah, I'd have to go through my database, but I have noticed he does tend to use like a fairly limited scope of post flop sizings. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Be back in a couple minutes.
Okay, so which sizes have you been using in the limp pot?
Um, I've been using. So, admittedly, I haven't had the opportunity to go over too much of the limp pot stuff. Most of the stuff that I have gone over has been in GTO Wizard, and I generally use the half pot C bet. And then on the turn and river, I use uh, basically a strategy that's somewhat similar to single raise pots. So it's likely going to be somewhat suboptimal. But I think I've been winning by a decent clip in the limped spots anyway. I'm actually going to check that right now. Unraised. Unraised and soft flop. Oh, maybe not. I was winning until I lost the. Until I lost. Yeah, this one. I remember this one. I think I went 4x on the river. I think 4x on the river is a bit of a punt. I'm gonna be real. I think 3x is better because like 3x is better to rep a straight with, which is kind of what I'm trying to do. And I think my straights would want to be protected a bit with boats in the 3x range. I don't think that I'm trying to make a 9 indifferent in this spot. So I'm trying to make a 9 indifferent. I think 3x is kind of the move. I went 4x. I remember I didn't have much of a time bank to think about like the exact sizing, but I RNG'd like super low with my hands. And I'm like, well, because I RNG bluff sizes, so the lower my RNG is, the bigger I bet. So I'm just like, well, we're gonna bomb it here. So I bet like 3x or 4x pot, and I think that was too big. I checked in GTO Wizard, and my hand bets 3x pot. They do not have a 4x pot sizing, but I think 3x pot is just better. I didn't compare it with a 4x sizing, but I don't think it's great. I did get jammed on though, and I folded 10 high, which I think is a good play. Oh, this one. Oh, this one. Do we I want to look at the if it continues against the raise. I would not be surprised either way. So it's a call.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing your screen. So yeah,
It
anyway,
does continue. The pure continues. Nice. And I checked my post flop line in GTO Wizard, and it was good. It raises flop like 30% of the time or so. And then pure barrels off. And always either pots the river or jams the river. So seems all right. But he called me with a hand that should like seriously consider folding. So I think GTO Wizard had it like as a break even call, but it was like pure folding in terms of frequencies. So if he's like calling that hand, I don't know, might be a bit ambitious. He's been stationing me. He's been stationing me when I've had it. So as evidenced by last session, you might have noticed his red line actually started going up quite a bit last session. Obviously his blue line fell off a cliff, but
yeah.
Oh, this one. I checked flop on this. It pure calls, I think, and his hand should raise smaller if it does raise. But at the time, it just felt like so shit to just call the flop with the double gutter and flush draw. And I'm ahead against, and his hand is indifferent against the jam too. So if he check raises ace jack here and gets jammed on, he's supposed to do some folding. But I mean, it's not a huge deal because I'm ahead against his hand by like a small bit.
Why does it feel bad to call?
I kind of hated the idea of having to call off a brick turn because like my hand kind of probably has to just stick it in if the turn is like a deuce of diamonds, given the SPR. But it's just like so shit.
Yeah, but your hand's going to have like 40% equity against his range, even on a rip turn, like 35 to 40% equity against his range. So I probably wouldn't worry too much about that. It's more like
there
when
wasn't
you
any
make
EV
your
loss
hand.
on the jam. There wasn't any EV loss on the jam.
When you make your hand, let's say you pick up the rest of the EV. Anyway, so it seems like his main sizes were like 50, 75, and 150, or like 140.
Yeah, he really likes to use the Yeah, it would be 140 without the rake, I think. Because the rake gets taken out of the pot and then the pot's a bit smaller, so his bet size is bigger in relation to the pot. So without the rake, it would be like 140.
Okay, great. And let's go with uh let's give it a 2-bet pot. So when you open, this is for your side. So preflop, raise first in, and then you check back the flop, and then you face a bet on the turn. So let's take a look at these.
Oh, I know this one.
You got 3-bet count. Um, check, check. What's that? 1.5 again?
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen him go like 2x or bigger here. Like here, I would go probably like 2 or 250. But he seems to really like the 150 in that spot. I think his hand should mostly check raise anyway. Honestly, like you block a bunch of checkbacks. Um, you're a bit more protected against if I do overbet. What do you think about that turn? Do you think I can have overbets in position? Because I would have overbets in position. It might be a punt, but like delay C bet as an overbet on the ace. But I think his hand should like mostly
Probably not
mostly
on
check.
an ace, but on other cards, you might be able to.
Okay.
Um, okay, so we got another 140. So I just need to call. Let's just put to that. Oh, it's that 1/3.
Yeah. What are your thoughts here? Are we calling the king high? Or is it an RNG? Might be an RNG.
Yeah, it's fine. And then 3/4, is it?
Yeah, 3/4.
3/4 again.
Let's turn pro
Yeah.
3/4.
Yeah, so it looks like he's only using those three sizes, 150 or, well, 30, 75, 140.
There's another 140.
At least on the turn. I imagine the river would be similar.
He uses some. He uses a lot of 140 on the river, especially in the check down lines. He really likes that 140 size. I looked at this one. This one is not a river call, apparently. It's actually like a big blind mistake to call river. Oh, this one was my biggest mistake in the match, like by a significant margin. It's like
Yeah, this is not so good.
it was like a 4 big blind mistake or something crazy, in like a tiny ass pot. Like my biggest mistake was literally in like a 12 big blind pot. I just punted like 4 big blinds.
Yeah. You pop the flop, check back the turn. Any bets? Water pot?
Yeah, block the river. I think no, I think my hand's just a pure call. I think I could raise with like a straight blocker, but like a pair and a straight blocker, like 9-5 or 6-5 there. But I think my hand should probably just go call the block bet. What am I gonna do here? Call probably. Block bets.
Another quarter pot.
I think I RNG'd races with that one. Or did I? I don't remember. Oh, go back to the last one. I actually want to ask you about that one. Yeah. So wait. What was the pre-flop action? I bet flop, right?
Yeah, 2.7.
Okay.
You bet 3/4 pot on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That seems good.
Or 70%. Check. Check on the turn. Bet folds.
Yeah. So, for some reason I thought I checked back and he donked. Must be thinking of another hand. Check over bet.
So 3x pot.
Yeah. That seems like a good size to use.
0.9. And is he doing the same thing in the 3-bet pot as well?
In the 3-bet pot, I mean, the SPR is pretty low, so you can't like. It's pretty difficult to get too out of line with like crazy sizings. But I think his sizings in 3-bet pots are fairly sharp. Like I think he probably has single sizing strategies for most of the flops, but I don't think that's that bad. And then on turn and river, I would expect him to be splitting sizes appropriately. One. Flop was a small mistake, and river was a small mistake. I remember. It's still crazy that like a backdoor flush draw, a backdoor straight draw, and an overcard is a mistake to call in position against 1/3, but apparently it is. Can you go back to that last one?
Quarter and three quarter.
Yeah. The king, the two tone. Uh, yeah, this one. He bet quarter pot, which is good. This is a spot where you can split between quarter pot and overbet. I think. What do you think about going even bigger here? Like just potting the turn, leaving like very little behind.
Uh, yeah, it seems fine. After call, it's gonna be 60 behind. It's gonna be 60 in the middle. It's a pot size bet. Yeah. Potting a turn gives you 90 in the middle, 60 behind, which is fine as well.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, that one was another big mistake. The ace deuce. Yeah, this was. I think this was when I was fading a bit at the end of the second session, and yeah, this is way too light. This is actually a jam or call spot. There are no min raises in position.
yeah. Usually, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Um,
I also kind of feel like I should have called the queen jack spades there on the turn. It's not a big deal.
there's a 1.5 there.
What do you think about the turn float with the fives? We check back flop, and then he like 3/4 the turn. Like I would
Yeah,
not
it
be
seems
the
fine.
turn fold. Okay.
Seems fine.
I think the ace 9 6 might be. He's using 1/3, and I think it might be just like a quarter pot bet. I don't think it's a big deal, but I think it is a quarter pot bet spot. I've noticed that it's quite frequently heuristic one, like the ace low boards. It's like you do a lot of quarter potting. And depending on how many sets you can have, it might be a range bet. That seemed a bit thin. The quarter pot there and the 3-bet pot. Uh, I think his hand should go a bit smaller. I think his hand should go like 10% pot maybe. Quarter pot. I think you just get called by too many better fives. But he did get me here with ace 4. I RNG'd that one all the way down as well.
Yeah, so I'll probably just run this sim to be roughly just these three sizes throughout, with the exception of this one. I mean, there was a little bit of like 300, but he's used that like once.
Yeah,
And that's only
there's
on the river, so he only use it on the river. He hasn't used it on the flop or the turn.
Mhm.
So I'd like 290 to the river. Um, maybe in this river pot there's also like a 50% and a pot size bet as well, but I don't know which
yeah,
sims he's looking at.
yeah. This is all his out of position stuff, right?
Yeah.
So he does go bigger in position. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And now we can have a look at in position. One third, three quarters, one third, one third, third, one third, third, three quarters, three quarters. Another bet. One third, one third, one third, one third. Mm, three quarters. Bet.
What do you think about calling turn there with the queen two?
He had a bet, so it's probably completely unnecessary. You've got the ones with the diamonds. You've got bigger pairs also with flush draws as well. Um, yeah, okay. I mean, it seems much the same on the flop. And the turn.
What do you think about bluff raising here? I RNG'd bluff raises in the ace three versus ace king hands, but landed on a call. Feels like a hand that I should probably call against the 2/3 river bet.
Yeah, potentially. Since that's on the river.
Yeah, he went 4x in that spot.
Yeah, it's just the all in will be that put in as well. Yeah, it's all in. If you're looking for some of the non all in bets. Yeah, it was a half pot there. $130. $130, and he goes to the 140. What is Yeah, it seems to be about the same on the river for him, except in position is just going 50 instead of 30.
He probably has hotkeys for it.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to change too much. Then the question is, how many sizes do you want to use? You know, he's using like a variety of sizes.
Yeah. Do you mean for the sim or do you mean in game?
Both at the same.
Hmm.
So I should be simming the sizes that you want to use. The
Yeah,
sizes I've used in the past.
I use a lot. Honestly, I use a lot of different sizes, and especially on the river, I kind of brain solve it and just try to figure out. Like I have really good intuition about how much my hand is worth generally, and I tend to RNG the bluffs. And I tend to understand like what I'm representing with what size. So I it might not be the right answer, but I kind of fly by the seat of my pants on in later streets, especially like on river in particular. I will use whatever size I feel best captures the most EV in the spot, and that can be a size that I haven't really looked in the solver about, but I basically split. I basically I'll RNG some protection with like my super nutted hands. Like if I have a bone on the river, sometimes I'll put that in like 75% pot, or if I have the nut straight on the river, sometimes I'll pot it instead of like 3x jamming it. But in general, I'll just use the size that my hand wants to use, with the exception of some protection stuff, and then I RNG all the bluffs.
Okay, so
But
that
one
answers the
turn
question about the river. Yeah, what about the turn? Or like in single raise pods or something?
on flops, it's like obviously different flops get different sizes. I do have some flop over bets. I'll probably be adding more the more I dig into the flop strategies in the Sims. Like today and tomorrow, I'll probably look at some flop over betting spots. In general, it's going to be 33%. It's going to be like 25%, 33%, 66%. I don't do much half potting on flops. So it's like 25%, 33%, 66%, some full pots, like King 8-7 two-tone. I pot that board. And then some over bets as well, especially on the ace king boards, the ace queen boards with a high third card. So like ace queen 9 or ace queen 8, especially. Spots where out of position can't have any sets, there's a lot more overbetting. And if out of position can't have like the low gut shots as well, then things get a bit nasty for them. So there's some overbetting there. It's all I think it also has to do with the incentive there is to bet third pair. So on ace queen four, there's a bit of incentive to bet your four to fold out the
So
overcards.
which overbet sizes have you been using, or do you want to look at?
So I've been using 200%, 150, 100%, 67%, 33%, 25% flops as the pre-flop aggressor in single raise pots.
Okay, and then in 3-bet pots, do you do something different?
Yes. So I use 25% quite a bit in 3-bet pots. There's also a little bit of 1/3 in there. I'm trying to think if I use 1/2. I don't really use 1/2. I use the 66% again. I do some potting and some small overbetting. So like I'll use pot and then I'll also use like 125.
And on the turn, is that the same?
On the turn, I very rarely use overbets in 3-bet pots, obviously.
No, like if it checks through on the turn, what do you do? Checks through on the flop, and then what do you do on the turn?
Probably pot, probably. I do a lot of blocking. I'll use, I'm not sure if I've used it yet in this challenge, but I do use like 10% and 25% out of position. And probably like some 33% as well. Probably some 67% as well, but if the flop checks through, I generally go a bit smaller, or if I want it, if I have a hand that wants to go bigger, I usually check raise. But I will occasionally pot it out of position.
And the limp pot, what size do you want to use for that first bet?
I've only been really using the half pot C bet in position in the limp pot.
And then when you check back and he checks to you, what do you do?
I check back and he checks me. Then I'll use half pot or full pot. And then on the river, I split like 12 different sizes. You know, just whatever my hand wants to bet, I'll usually just bet that on the river.
Okay. All these for now. And do you like to donk?
Not as much as most people, but I will do it. For example, you know, the normal stuff, bottom card pairing after a flop C bet, middle card pairing after a flop C bet. If they overbet, like we had a hand where it was like ace king 6 with two-tone, and he overbet the flop and then the flush came in and I donked like quarter pot. So there's like a little bit there. I think outside of that, I haven't been doing too much donking on the river. I know there are some spots, and I'm familiar with some heuristics where there is donking on the river, but yeah, not a ton. Not a ton of the stuff on the river. But yeah, like maybe, I mean, I can see myself doing it in like 3-bet pots quite a bit. Like, yeah. I'm gonna take another bathroom break.
Yep. And then in position, are your sizes different?
In position within the context of single raise pots.
Single raise pods and three bet pods.
Uh, Let me think. Single raise pots, I use 33. I use 25, 33, 67, 100, 150, and 200. In three bet pots, I use different sizes. I usually use 25%, 33%, 66%, 100%, and 125%. And that changes as we get deeper as well. Like I'll increase the size of the overbet depending on how big the stacks are.
And then the raise sizes.
Single raise pots. It depends a little bit on the board texture, but I'll use. It also depends on his bet size. If he bets big, I raise small usually. But I think 33% as my small raise. Like if he overbets and I need a raise him, I'm gonna like min click it. But usually it's a bit bigger. Usually it's like 66%, or full pot. I will have some full pot raises. I don't go bigger than full pot on my check raises and single raise pots. And do
And
a
is he even
pot.
check raising you anything?
Yeah, probably a similar sizing strategy. Although not many min clicks. It's like actually no, on the paired boards he has been like min clicking me. So there's that.
Any overbet raises?
Yeah, on the turn. I think we both have overbet check raises on the turn. Same with on the river.
Now, if you're in position on the river in like a single raise pot, do you have a bet less than 50%?
I overbet. Say that again?
Do you have a bet less than 50% in the river in position?
No. Well,
Do
yeah,
you ever
no.
go? What sizes do you have between 50 and 100?
Uh, I think it's literally like it's like 60, 66, 70. It's like everything. I don't pick a size. I bet the size my hand wants to bet. So it's like if I think my hand's gonna want to bet like 82% pot, I'll do that.
All right,
So
cool.
there's you can just
Go with that.
whatever.
Yeah.
Out of position though, I have like block bets on the river. I was like, I'll bet like a big blind if I think my hand's worth a big blind.
Okay, so this is big in position.
It's a big tree.
Yeah, we'll see. Me already. 50. It's not somewhere. Okay, so raise, fold check, 25, 33, 66, 100, 125, 150, 200 in position. Checks through. He goes 1/3, 75, 140, 90. River pot, raise, call, 30, 75, 140. And the jam checks. You have these sizes down. See how big this is. All right, so it's going to be version 4. All right, so it's going to be version 4. Stick with this for now.
Solid.
I'll run one copy now. That's a bit smaller, so you can get an estimate of preflop ranges, and then another copy to get an estimate of the flop strategy.
Great.
Okay,
Did
so
you want to go with your hands?
yeah, so one thing that you can do is you can load in the flop here. So if you go to this big blind, this is for you in the big blind and for you in the small blind. So you can load the flop strategy. So this is the flop version.
And that's with the 5x ISO.
Uh, yeah,
All
the
right.
5XR. So this one here, I don't think I've uploaded it yet. But you can use this one in the meantime. This P64 L32 L16 with the
Mm-hmm.
flop. So that's version 1 with the flop. You're in the small blind and you're in the big blind, so you should have both of those. So version 1
All
should be
right.
pretty good. And we can go through some of the hands using Microsoft for the flop because it should be able to pull it out instantly. At least a decent flop strategy. So if you look at some of the bigger hands, I'm pulling up the small blind ones. Let's have a look at some of the bigger hands. Um,
Yeah, we
let's see.
already went over some
We'll
of
see.
these.
We'll see the flop strategy. Yeah, so we've already gone through some of these. So you look at that one.
Yeah. Look at that one. Look at that one. Yeah, we looked at this one. I ran it. I looked at it in GTO Wizard rather, and it seems like there's not that much EV loss, but there is a little bit on the flop raise. It actually, I think, it prefers to raise 8-7 of clubs and 8-7 of diamonds, which I don't understand, but I would probably just fold those hands, honestly. I might be misremembering it, but it would be weird to misremember something so odd. But there are raises here, mostly like around like the low pairs. And my hand felt like it was like just barely strong enough to continue, so I threw in a raise. And he stationed me down with the ace high, which made me sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he bets 1/3. Here's the quarter pot, and you've got 10% folding frequency. Not doing a lot of folding. Half pot, you're not doing a lot of folding. You're mostly continuing by calling. So it's that quarter pot.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the strategy, and Here's the 8-7. It's mostly calling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
clubs
guess
and
it's,
diamonds going for the small raise, going for a raise low frequency.
yeah.
So if you bet slightly bigger, yeah, it's the hearts and clubs, and then maybe go for a raise. Is it? No, you're folding it a little bit. Not really doing too much raising that particular hand. I mean, 3% of the
Very
time.
low frequency. Okay.
Never bring it in. Yeah, we've seen that one. Seen that one.
Yeah, I checked the nines in the new sims and they do mostly call pre-flop to the limp raise, re-raise, four bet, and then they mostly call.
Yeah.
I think 3x on the river is best. I think 4x is just overdoing it a bit. Because I feel like going 4x with a straight here is a bit much. I think 3x is what my straights would want to bet. And this 4x is like, it's kind of repping like a full house, but does a full house really need to go that big? You could probably go a bit smaller and like protect some of the smaller bets. So I think 3x is a bit better on the river. And then I got jammed on, and I was at that moment convinced that it was better to go 3x because I would have lost less money.
6-9. And your offsuit, obviously you can bet. Now when you take these limping lines,
Mhm.
and you should be able to see it. You should be able to see it in GTO Wizard as well. Like when you go call, check. I mean, I don't know how many of these do I have per day. I don't have an account. I have one per day or something. Um,
I think it's three. I think it's three per day.
check. You can see 62.4% check back frequency,
Yeah, I do. I do a lot of checking.
4% check back frequency.
It's funny. I was listening to the Twitch stream the other day, and the commentators mentioned that they felt like one of the boards should be a range bet for the limper, but that I find that's very rarely the case because I mean the limping range
Yeah,
is pretty weak. The limping range
the
is
limping
literally
range is
just saying
the limping
like
range is a lot of trash. Yeah,
I'm in
I,
position,
I'm
I get a good
I'm in
price on the
position.
call.
I just like it. Yeah. Um. So like if it checks back, it'll also check through a lot on the turn as well. That's taking so long. Basically, if it checks back, it'll check back a lot on the turn. Doesn't have the data. Um. One thing that I can probably do. Uh, Depends on like how much uh limping you want to do.
Mhm. It
This is
did
also this
appear
is also got
that
no
his
deal.
three bet frequency was around 18%, which is probably fine if I'm limping.
Yeah, it's correct if you're limping, certainly. Um,
Mine is like 23%, I think, which is
yeah,
good
and
if
that's correct because
raising.
he's racing everything. Until that changes, until that changes, you should just keep with that high three bet frequency.
Right.
And you can see the difference between the two because he doesn't have a limp. Um, now 2-2. Question is if I can go 4-4, probably not. 3-3, 3-2, 4-2, 2-2. Yeah, this is a bit bigger than last time. Try. I could probably try this. I mean, it won't be super accurate, but it'll give you. I mean, I'll try a bunch of stuff. It won't be super accurate, but this will give you all the way flops on the river. How much RAM do you have on your computer?
64 gigs.
Oh, okay. In that case, it won't load.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might. Yeah, it probably won't load because I'm looking at the flop. Try something like that, and then you get the flop strategy at least. Okay. So you know how to load Monka to look at basically any flop now, um, because I've run it for you with the initial one. So any of this
Mhm.
flop dash dash flop. So you use those. I'll upload it all four. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Um,
Nice.
yeah. So version 2 has the updated. Um, maybe what version 3? Yeah, I'll upload version 3 for you now. Um,
Great.
so this is version 3 preflop. So you can look at the preflop strat. So all these from here to here, version 1, and all these small blind version 4 is going to be the next slot. And then I'll probably do a big blind version 2 um, for you as well. So yeah, take a look at that one. They will have the correct versus limp.
Mm-hmm.
So call this ISO 33%, which is sort of what he's doing. And then this has your two 3-bet sizes in position. The small 3-bet and the big 3-bet. It's the big 3-bet, it's very polar. It's got the ace king offsuit, none of the ace king suited. The small big 3-bet, it's got all the ace king suited. Well, you don't really limp ace king suited that much. You do tiny bit.
So these are
however,
the limp 3 bets.
yeah, limp 3-bet. So you got two different limp 3-bet sizes.
Sweet.
Although you don't do a lot of limp. You don't do a lot of limp 3-betting in general. It's only like 5%.
Yeah, I haven't done it that much, but there have been like probably 5 or 6 spots where I've limped 3 better. The 9
Yeah, I
cents.
mean, yeah, you don't really have to limp 3-bet. The nines is fine. Um, don't really have to too much. Just you need some strong hands to protect it, stop it from getting out of line. This is
Yeah.
55, and this has got your adjusted 4-bet sizes. So here, against the small 3-bet, you're 4-betting small down to 44. I saw you were doing a lot of, 22. I saw you doing a lot of 27, which
Yes.
doesn't really get taken too often in the small size.
Yes. Yeah. I haven't been as sharp on memorizing the 4 bets. I know which hands do it, and I have like a general idea of what hands prefer the big size and small size, but I haven't had time to actually like super drill down into the exact frequencies. But I will go over that again. The 4 bets.
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, take a look at it using this new one.
All right.
Is there anything anything else you want to cover? Because we looked at some of these. Okay.
Yeah, we
A lot
can
of study yourself.
Apparently it doesn't stab the turn. Yeah, like pure calls flop. It doesn't stab turn at all. Felt like an okay hand to stab the turn with.
And what was your rationale to put behind this turn size?
Basically going geometric with like a complete airball. The imposition stabs tend to be pretty polar. Especially at like the lower SBRs. At the higher SBRs, they have a bit more like high equity draws, but at the lower SBRs, they tend to be a bit more like complete trash or like a high equity value hand. And this one has like no equity essentially. So thought it was okay, but apparently not. I think it goes for like the call in position and then the check and then the check and then it bets the river.
Yeah. So do you see why that's the case?
I think it has to do with the SBR. I think the SBR is like a bit bigger and you want like some sort of equity. I also think it has to do with the fact okay, I'm gonna change my answer. It has to do with the fact that he shouldn't be check raising me here very much at all, which means I should be barreling with more equity because he's only really going to be continuing through a call. He did check raise me in game, but in the sim, it only check raises like 3 or 4% versus this. So given the fact that he's not going to be check raising me like hardly at all, that means you should be barreling in position with more equity. If he was going to be check raising you a bunch, then you use the more polar side.
And which sizes did you have for the sim on the turn here?
I looked at it in GTO Wizard, and I think it had 2/3. I think my size was fine. I think I can also bet smaller. I don't think betting bigger is a move that should be made, but I think this size is probably fine. I also don't think it was like a huge punt in EV. It was like a small EV loss. It's just like a hand selection issue. And I think it has to do with the check raising frequency of the out of position player.
Okay, so if you bet any calls, does your pair draw ever improve to beat anything that he can call with?
Yes, but it can't bet the river. So it's like
Okay, and then if you check back and your pair draw makes it and then he checks, can you bet the
yes.
river?
Yeah, on a queen on a 7, I think it's on a 7, I think it's close between like a bet and a check. Like out of position, if I had a 7, like if I had queen 7 in his shoes and and turn check through and river came a 7, like I would probably just always block bet that for like probably like 30% pot or like 25% pot. somewhere in that range. But like in position, it's like it gets to the point where it's a bit dangerous to reopen the action when you're going that thin for value. So it's like you're gonna get called by a bunch of better hands, and then you could potentially get bluffed off by betting, which is not good. So I don't bet as thin in position, obviously.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't really sound right. Um, you should be betting probably just as thin as your opponent bets. So, obviously you can't go as small. If you think your opponent's betting half pot, then you whatever hands that you think your opponent bets half pot with, you can always bet. And then a little bit more because your opponent also goes for the small bet with some weaker hands as well. So if you think your
Mhm.
opponent can sometimes bet half pot with a seven, then you can always bet half pot with a seven.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a question of if the seven is worth half pot because I think in the out of position player's shoes, I think it's definitely worth a value bet, but I think it's worth a bit less than half pot. And given that it is worth less than half pot, and really I really don't use uh in position bets, in position river bets that are less than half pot for the reason stated earlier of reopening the action and potentially getting bluffed off my thin value bet and just losing all of the EV of my value bet that way.
Yeah, that's fine. So, but do you understand why this hand checks the turn?
Yeah, I understand it now. Oh, this one's interesting. I RNG'd a turn call. Uh, I was going to fold it a little bit of the time, but honestly, it's a pretty good hand. We unblock all the draws.
We had a 2x pot raise there.
Yeah, it's like pretty close to top of range. So I don't know if I can fold the turn. However, on the river, I believe was an eight, and Jack 10 got in as well as some lower straights, and then I didn't block any of the straights. Uh, and it felt like it would be very loose to call the nine, the naked nine without a blocker there. To the barrel on the river. I was representing the hand that he had. Yeah, so this one mostly checks the turn, but it still bets some of the time. And it always follows through on the river, so it seemed okay. Check, call. Uh, what do you think about raising this on the river?
On the river, no.
Because
Yeah,
I am
maybe.
aware of certain spots where bricked flush draws bluff raise against very small river bets, and
Actually,
this
yeah, this might work because since the other flush came through.
I didn't like not having a blocker there. Small mistake. Call river.
Yeah, so remember, just like usually when you open the big size, like you check back a lot on the flop.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you're right.
Um, yeah, I'm not
I
sure about that
wonder.
river fold. That seems like a
Not sure about the river fold.
yeah, that seems like a
Yeah,
pretty standard call.
I it was kind of exploitative because I just couldn't think of a hand that he would do that with that wasn't
Yeah,
value.
sure. I mean, I think it probably doesn't bluff that much on the turn anyway. Um,
I just really felt like a set or a two pair.
mean, it's a pretty small. It's in position.
What are my barrel frequencies like?
This
And
is this
are
is
they
his
good?
barrel. This is his barrel frequency. So here it's got like a 100% three bet turns c bet three bet turn c bet frequency. So after he's called a three bet pre-flop out of the small blind, you've checked
Mhm.
the flop and he's bet the turn. So he's bet the flop. You've called. He always bets the turn. So it's a bit. I mean,
Wait,
it's probably a small sample.
is this the check raise lines?
No, this is when you three bet and then check the flop.
Oh,
Yeah, let's have a look.
hey, can you look at that? Yeah, look at this hand. I need your opinion on this river size.
Call.
The river was like a board pair.
Yeah, it seems fine.
This was bad. The river check is like a very, very small mistake. You're not supposed to check raise ace queen here. You're supposed to check raise jack 10. You're supposed to always bet ace queen and you can jam it on the river.
Yeah, I think I might just jam the river. Because you block some folds. I don't know. Okay. Maybe I'm wrong about what he's doing then. I don't know why the filter didn't work.
Hmm.
His turn betting frequency is really low.
Is this just in general or is it like in a
This
certain
is
line?
his this is just in general. The bet turn is a bit higher.
What should it be?
It should be closer to 50%,
Okay.
especially in position.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think he's RNGing flops? And do you think he's RNGing as much as I am? Because I RNG pretty much everything.
sure about that.
Say that again.
You're not sure about that. Um, turn.
What is a float bet?
It's when you call the flop and then call the flop in position and they check the turn, so you bet into them.
Oh, okay. So it's like a stab.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Late opportunity, very low. You worry about pre-flop, you bet the flop, because you bet once. Yeah, that's how you bet. Bet call, check, check. 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 Yeah, so I think you should probably significantly under trap
Yeah, just
the
like
turn.
basically never check raise the turn. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah. Well, this is in the three bet pot. Um, or when you check raise the flop.
I
Yeah,
feel like you should
basically.
probably
Basically, don't check raise the turn for with any value, and just use your and just like check a lot of your crappy hands because they get to over realize.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, we'll do.
call, yeah, check, check. I mean, it's 9 out of 10. It could just be the hands that he was dealt, but
Mhm.
yeah, not entirely sure about that.
Yeah, we'll look more into this next weekend. We only have half a week of playing so far.
Yeah, there's not a lot of hands.
Do you think there's a chance he finds stuff on me? Like, because in my mind, I'm playing pretty close to optimally. I'm also balancing like all my timing tells, usually just taking like the amount of time I take in a hand is usually relative to how much money is in the pot. So like more money in the pot is just like more time for each decision. It's generally how I play it. But do you like is there anything that you've seen where I could possibly like something he could find in my game?
I'll take a look at it. So this is him for the flop. Flop bet. Full flop C bet position is only 40% from him.
Really?
Yeah.
That seems extremely low.
54 of 132. Uh, fold to flop. Yeah. Fold to flop C bet non 3 bet pot is 41. And then his check raise is 18.
Is that high? That seems a little high. I would expect to be around like 15 or 16.
Yeah, it seems a bit on the high side. Let's have a look at what you're doing. You're at 12.88%.
That seems a little low. I mean, it might be on the
Essentially, and
lower
you're
end of
folding
fine.
34%. Your call flop C bet position is 51%. Yeah, so potentially he could be doing a bit of overfolding and over raising. Raising a bit too much.
I get the feeling he barrels a lot in the check raise pots. Also, yeah, no, there were some hands that I saw where he check raised hands that it was like kind of weird to check raise. There was one where I stacked him and he had like Jack 7 on Jack 8 deuce rainbow, and he check raised me with Jack 7 offsuit. And then the turn came a 10, and he check called like a 2/3 pot bet, and then the river came a brick like a 4, and then he check called like a 2x pot jam with like top pair and a blocker. Which like probably not terrible, but kind of light. I had the nuts, of course. I never bluff. You know how we do it. Why bluff when you can just always have the nuts?
His fold to turn C bet is really high. So is yours. The 70% there, which is massive, especially in the C bet. So if you just go bet, he should overfold. He's doing a
That
lot
might
of
be
overfolding if you just go bet.
that might be a result of the sizings we use. We both tend to prefer the bigger turn sizes. Like quite a significant margin. Like I like
His
the full pot.
his turn C bet, his turn C bets. Well, if you pot it and he folds 60, if he folds 70% of the time, then you're making 40% of the pot. And if he goes
Yeah,
one and a half and you're folding 80% of the time, which is kind of what's happened here, then
wait
he's
a minute.
winning. He's actually only see but the turn like 5 times. Doesn't make any sense. Sorry,
So it might be good.
as the big blind. I mean, um, yeah. So turn continuation, but success.
Yeah, that's probably just card distribution.
Yeah. In position. Turn C bet. Success. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, the main thing is that in both the three up pot and the non-three up pot, here he's out of 16 bets that you've made out of your turn C bet in a non-three bet pot, he's followed 11 of them. So even if those are all pot size bets, like if it's on average a pot size bet, then you've won 40% of the pot.
Wow.
23.
But then I would have to, at least in theory, if he's overfolding the turn, that means I would have to slow down a bunch on the river because he's like bringing a much
Yes.
stronger range to the river.
Yes. So if you look at all these, there's only that flop, the turn, you pot it, and it's just check. Bet flop, bet turn, he folds. It's only a half pot bet. Bet
I'm
flop,
not convinced that's a great turn bet by me, but
bet turns is 3 times, 2 times pot, 3 times pot. Yeah, twice pot. Probably.
yeah, in position has 4-3 and out of position doesn't have too much. Even in like the 2.1, I don't think they call it. 4.3 is pretty shit. Or 4.3 is pretty shit. No, they do have a little bit. Yeah, they got a little bit. Okay. I stand corrected.
3/4. Pot size bet. X pot. Pot size bet. 3/4. Pot size bet. 1.5. So that's 3 barrel. Two X pot that he called. Yeah, I mean it's early days, but he might be slightly overfolding the turn.
Okay.
And he might be
Yeah, I'll give that
slightly checking back too much on the turn after you bet the flop in like a 3-bet pot or a check raise. So
I also kind of got the feeling that he was overcalling the river by a slim margin. Like he was bluff catching me it with hands that are like mixes that are somewhat counterintuitive. And then he's like, I don't know, the Jack two pair hands when I had the 5 high was one of them, where it's like the solver mostly folds that one on the river, almost pure folds. Then there was like an ace 7 hand. I'm not sure if you saw the ace 7 hand uh, where I stacked him, where he just called me down with ace high, which is not like a terrible call, as it turns out. Um, but he did. It was a very light call. Maybe he thought I was over bluffing, but I had the goods.
yeah, I mean in general his fold to river bet when he's in the big blind is like 60%. So like he's overfolding a lot on the turn of the river. I mean it depends on what your
Oh,
bet size actually were. When he's in
I
the big
use
blind.
really big river sizes generally, so
Okay. Well,
especially like
if
barrel
yeah,
one.
big as in like overbets.
Yeah, I've used some very large over bets. Some potentially too big, like the 10-3 hand. I think was a bit too big. I think 3x is better there, but I use very big bets in position on the river, especially in the barrel lines. We both do. We both do. I've faced some massive over bets from him as well. Um, yeah.
Okay. Well, I probably can't say it on the turn then. Yeah, I mean, your fault to river bet's a bit smaller than his. I mean, this is correct if he always goes 150.
Okay.
For your big blind if he always goes 150 in position. His is correct if you always go like 200 or 175. So, um, yeah, play around with it. I think. Yeah, I mean, he's always folded to your river C bet, so not a lot of hands. Like river C bet 7 out of 12. You've folded. Um, and then he's folded 100% of your river C bets. 5 out of 5.
What's the context of this in 3-bet pots?
This is in any pot. This is in all pots. You've only see bet the river 5 times.
I've only
He's
seen the
folded
river.
5 times, and he's always folded 5 times. So you've only see bet the river in position 5 times. I mean,
Yeah.
and then in contrast, when he's in position, he's never folded to your river C bet. Yeah. So he seems like given the. I mean, it's a small sample size, but so far he's basically been a little more significantly more stationary in position and kind of slightly over folding out of position.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I think this river sizing is bad. I think I should go like half pot to rep the ace and my hand selection is maybe okay, but having the heart is bad. So I didn't actually run this one, but I remember afterwards, I'm like, why did I bet quarter pot? Like, what am I even representing? Because the king, does the king really triple barrel there? Probably not. And an ace should barrel for a bigger size. So the whole thing just doesn't make sense. I didn't like that one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this was the one I was talking about earlier. My hand likes to mostly bet like pot or just over pot when you're a bit deeper, but and then it like blocks the river. But jamming isn't a big deal. It's like fine to jam with top two. It like jams all the other kings, and then this one in particular likes to block bet. So go figure.
yeah, okay.
The ace high, which was technically fine, but it's an ace high that can certainly fold. It's not an obligatory call. This one, it was like a two big blind river mistake. But my hand, my hand should bet. It should always bet like 35 big blinds on the river out of position.
Yeah, I would block as well. And then in position, he's like never called your. It could just be a sample size thing. So
This is bad. This is not a four bet. After the flop, it's fine, but like pre-flop, it's like 10-6 suited is the four bet. 10-5 is just like so shit. I RNG'd super low and I'm like, this can get in there. But then I checked afterwards and I'm like, oh, this is actually terrible.
and part of that could be because like he's raising all of his strong hands on the flop, or raising a much greater proportion of his strong hands on the flop, so he doesn't have any left when you barrel the turn in the river.
Can we take a
So
look at
so
the can we take a look at his flop check raises? Because the Jack 7 hand in particular sort of stood out to me as a hand that isn't really a great check raising candidate. Now, granted, it's probably not like an EV loss. But I think he may be misplaying some of these check raise lines. Also, I boat over voted him in one, and I think he misplayed it as well. But we can look at these. Oh, this one too. I made a small mistake. Oh, all right. This is fine. It's indifferent on the flop. It shouldn't really check back the turn, but it can. It's like a 10% frequency play, and I remember I RNG'd like super high, so I'm just like, all right, whatever. I'll just check it back. So not a huge issue on the turn. Then on the river, it's supposed to raise smaller. However, I felt like this size was unprotected. So I decided I could go a bit bigger and not have to worry about isolating myself against only nines.
sure. Okay. Yes, it's fine. You completely got shot.
Oh, this one. So he check raises super small, and then he barrels big on the turn. This is bad. So the big barrel is bad, and the jam is bad.
Yeah.
But it's good if you have a boat. So I was very happy to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems yeah, small check raises is reasonable, and then I don't really
Yeah,
understand why he made this big bet with this hand. That doesn't make any sense.
yeah, it mostly checks, and when it does bet, it bets 35 or like
Yeah,
33%.
it should just block, or it should try to get to showdown. Like the whole point of the small raise is to deny equity from like ace high, king high, queen high,
Mhm.
and this just does the opposite of that. Anyway,
Yeah, and the river he should not have. I don't think he has over bets on that river. Because like imposition is going to raise him a bunch in theory. So why overbet? It's not like I haven't been raising him on the river. Oh, what was this one? Oh, I know this
you bet a third pot here, and then check. Did you look at this one?
one. I didn't look at it. It felt just barely too thin in game. Like if I had the 8, I'm fairly confident I would have bet like half
Do you
pot.
ever have that?
Do I ever have the 8? Yeah, I can have like queen 8 with the 8 of clubs.
Okay, so it's one combo.
I can have.
Oh, sorry, three combos.
Yeah, yeah. It's not many combos.
It's not a huge amount of combos. I think maybe you should take a look at that one. Maybe the imposition river bet should be. I think you should think about it.
Okay.
So I'm sure he gets called by like a bunch of straights and two pairs and stuff, especially because he went for the flop check raise. That's
Mhm.
kind of what he's repping, and then the small bet on the turn is, kind of looks like a two pair that's scared of the flush, and then checks the river.
Mhm.
Because he just wants to show down two pair. So
The issue I have with the flush spot is given the fact they check raise the flop and the turn, I don't really have many like zero EV showdown hands. Like all my hands have like some sort of showdown, and he will have some brick flush, some brick straight draws. So it's a spot where I should under bluff, uh, and value bet a bit more thickly, I think, just because
yeah, no, so what you're describing is called a bluff value inversion, but I don't think that happens here on this particular river.
it's like if all your hands in range have showdown value and your opponent is going to make you indifferent between a bluff and a value bet, he actually has to under defend compared to MDF.
Yeah. So you're describing a bluff
Check
value
that.
inversion. So you're describing a
Uh,
bluff value inversion. So most of your bluff bets are profitable. Almost all your bluff bets are profitable, and then your value bets are indifferent rather than the other way around.
oh, interesting. Hmm.
Yeah. So I think you should take a look at it and take a
Okay.
look at the inversion spots. So the inversion spots happen when you've called a bet or two on the
Mhm.
turn. So if you call the flop on the turn, or he checks you on the flop and you call the turn bet, and then he checks you, often there's a bluff value inversion there where bluffs are massively plus EV, and then a lot of value hands are indifferent.
Yeah, I think that also happens. That's interesting that you described that because I've also found that in the river donk lines, where take for example like 9-6 9-6-4, you're in the big blind with like 8-7. You check your opponent's bet, you call, and then the turn is like a deuce. You check, they bet, and then you RNG a call, because your hand is going to overrealize, and it's like especially like in deep like 200 big blind single raise
Yeah,
pots.
and then you brick and then you donk, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's a bluff value inversion going into a donk.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Okay, I do know what you're talking about now, though. It's registered.
so you check raises, and then you call with 6 high.
Yeah, this was I got the double backdoors and I only realized like 30% equity. So I'm like, can't be too bad. But I did check this one and it is bad. So
And then you fold the turn to the third pot. I mean, if you call on the flop, then I think you got to call this particular turn bet. I would just fold the flop.
yeah, in hindsight, I think flop fold is best.
Yeah, we talked about that one. Any reason you didn't bet the turn?
Um, hmm, reason I didn't put the turn. I think it was probably just RNG. I think my hand is like okay to bet the turn or okay to check back and bluff the river. I RNG'd very low, I swear. But after raising turn, it's fine. I did check that one as well. It's pure jam on the river. Thoughts on the sizing? The pot size river bet after calling 2 streets. I feel like I could turn.
Yeah, I mean, given his check raise is kind of small, and then his turn bet was small, then the pot size bet is fine. If they were big, then you have to size down.
Okay. Yeah, this is this hand. Check raise the jack 7 offsuit. Shouldn't really check raise.
And you called it 2x river jam.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Actually, could you go back to the last hand real quick? I want to take a look at this. What is that turn size? That is, I don't think that's ever used, is it? On a paired board? Like,
Yeah, I don't think it makes too much sense. I mean, especially like the queen comes, it's going to benefit him because you don't really have any queens. Don't really know what he's
that's
repping.
odd. This feels a bit light. Queen 7 with the diamonds.
Probably. Not too sure about that size.
Yeah, and this should be a river raise.
Yep.
We went over that one. But yeah, hindsight. And this one I bet a bit too small on the river. This one should be like 30, 35 big blinds, I think.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
bomb this.
Yeah, pot size is too small.
Like the fact that he just check calls a small turn bet and the king comes means that he probably never has quads or has it very, very rarely, and you've got basically the nuts.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So
agree.
you should
That's
go really big.
I agree.
Yeah, okay. I think how long have we been going for? 2.5 hours.
Oh yeah, we've been going for a while. 2 hours.
Yeah. I think you can go through a lot of these hands. Yeah, don't read too much into them because a lot of them is random. So
Yeah, we
um
don't have that much of a sample on him still, so I'm not too concerned.
yeah, so the things that we know is like maybe he's checking back a bit too much after you three bet and then you bet the flop
Hmm.
or check raise the flop and then yeah, so basically like on those turn check spots you should be able to slightly over realize with your weaker hands.
Hmm.
So don't be afraid to go for a slightly higher check raise frequency with some more drawy hands and then check the turn because it'll just let you see the river.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
basically you just get the free look at the free look at the river and then the free folds on the flop. Combine those two together means that you should pretty be check raising pretty aggressively with some drawy hands.
All right.
And when you three bet the flop, so when you three bet pre-flop and then bet the flop, you'll be able to see the river by checking as well. So don't be
Hmm.
afraid to like bet flop and then check in those three bet pots, and you just see the river because he'll let you. I mean, he's done it 9 times out of 10, so I imagine that will be continuing at least for the next couple sessions until he picks up on his own league.
All
Um,
right. Solid. Oh, one thing about this hand sample, which is very important actually, is it's not all the hands. Apparently, we are missing hands from Black Chip and ACR. Uh, we were not able, the client was not downloading every single hand into the folder that it should have been downloading it into. It's been missing like the occasional one-off hand, which is a huge issue because I know this graph says I'm up 550 big blinds. After rake, that would be like over 600, but I'm actually up over 700. So that's like a huge deal, and that has to do with the game transaction history. Like we went into the game transaction history, and I've won more money, and he has in his database he has me winning more money than I have in my database, which is like a huge issue. So we're working on getting that fixed. Um,
yeah, see if you can get it fixed. Definitely important to both agree on all the hands that you've played,
okay.
and especially because all of them are being streamed. They are all being streamed, right?
Yes, yes. All the
Okay,
hands are being
well, yeah.
streamed.
If they're all being streamed, then you get that extra verification that this hand was
Mhm.
missing, that hand was missing. I want a copy of it.
Yes, yes.
Worst case scenario at the end of the challenge, I mean, you two will both just send your hands to Josh, and then Josh will go through all the hands and make sure everything lines up to what's happened in the streams.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good last resort to have. We have emailed. I've contacted customer support. I sent them a message. Uh, Brandon emailed them to get all the hand histories sent. I can't. I honestly can't find on the website where it says that I can get the hand histories emailed to me. I know
I
I've
think you
done
just have
that.
to. I think you just have to email support and then ask for them, and they'll email it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably get on that. Um, but yeah, is there anything else you need to go over?
Uh, no,
It felt like a really good session.
yeah, I'll have to check how many we've done. So there's this one for 2.5. The last one went for half an hour. Half an hour. Yeah, so we're at 4.5 hours since the last payment. I'll just say it's 4, and then you just pay me
Nice.
again for the next 4 hours. I'll send you the link,
Yeah.
the Bitcoin address.
All right, great.
All right.
Oh, another thing. Uh, Even when I'm up 7 buy-ins, I'm still a dog in the betting markets. Should I double down?
Um, 7 binds at 1,000 hands is not a lot. I would.
I know, but now he needs to win by like an additional 3 big blinds per 100 throughout the remainder of the sample. And I'm still like a minus, I'm still like a plus 150 dog. So I went from plus 200 to plus 150 after winning like 7 buy-ins.
How
That's
much? How much do you have bet on yourself so far?
so I actually don't have any straight bets. I have the $10,000 side bet, right? But then I also have a cross book for the entire challenge at 1K now. So I'm cross, and I also have another one with SRB at 100 now. So I'm cross booked up to 100 NL. Um, there's no handicap on the actual challenge, but on my cross books, I have a 3.5 on the 1K NL cross book and a 4 big blind on the 100. It's kind of irrelevant. But I don't have that much in like straight money line bets. But man, these these plus 150 bets are just I don't know, they're pretty tempting.
Yeah, I would. I would. I would probably avoid it. I mean, it's up to you and your own risk tolerance. But the issue is that if you bet too much on yourself, like the results will mess with you too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I sort of went into this challenge sort of like trying to avoid.
what's the ratio on the bet of the entire challenge? That 10K bet, is that 1 to 1 or?
Yeah, it's 1 to 1. Yeah, the actual challenge itself is not handicapped at all. And I was actually fine with that because 2K is like my main stake, and I was like shotting 5K. So I'm like an overrolled 2K player at this point. And I'm like, all right, sure, I can commit to 25,000 hands at 2K NL. But then like all this side action is coming up, like, hey dude, I'll lay you like 3.5 big blinds per 100 if you want to cross book up higher. I'm like, I just really don't think I'm that big of a dog. And I think this is like pretty plus EV. But yeah, I think the lines not having shifted very much is it's kind of confusing to me because I agree that like this isn't indicative of anyone's skill level, it's just variance, but just the fact that he's gonna have to win at a much higher clip now from here on out. It's very strange.
Yeah, I mean, with only 25,000 hands, uh, like if you use the prime dot one,
Oh, and the variance is I think it's like 159.
yeah, you got 24,000 hands left, and there's just say 150 variants. Uh, so zero, zero.
He needs to win at 3 big blinds per
He needs to win
100
at 3.
to overcome his initial downswing. Yeah, this seems very difficult to calculate because not only would he have to win at like 3 big blinds from per 100 from here on out, but he would have to win at that most of the time. He would have to win at
Yeah.
that
So
like time.
if his edge is 3 BB,
Hmm.
given this variance, a chance that he runs if the chance that he continues to lose from here is 37%. And the chance that he if he does have but the chance that he wins more than 0 from here is 62%.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I would probably avoid it just because everything's super close together.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Like you guys are very close to a coin flip still. Um,
Mhm.
it's different. Like if they like, what do people think that his edge is like the edge that he actually has on you? Like people would have to think that he has got like a 7 BB edge on you in order to really make these sorts of bets. Um,
That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
that's the issue. So I would avoid it. I would if I was in your position, just keep studying, keep your head down, um, keep
Okay.
exercising, keep studying, keep getting good sleep, and just focus on playing well rather than worrying too much about making additional bets on yourself because
Hmm.
you've already betting a lot. I mean, the 10K is what like five. It's 5 buy-ins, which is
Hmm.
relatively small compared to the rest of the challenge. The rest of the challenge will be you're already up more than that. So even
Hmm.
if you can just be 0 from here on out, you pick up the extra five buy-ins, um,
Agree.
and then you're up 25K, which is nice. And then other people will shit themselves next time they try to play you. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, just focusing on playing well and trying to maintain a positive win rate is the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably best not to get sidetracked. All right.
Yeah, because then you'll spend too much time like trying to track bets and stuff. One thing I
Hmm.
probably recommend is that you take a look at some of the limp stuff because it seems like you might be c betting the flop too much.
What was
Um,
my CBET frequency? I think it was because I think the CBET frequency in limped pots is like between 40 and 50%. I don't think it's that much higher than that. Uh, but yeah, I do enjoy a good flop CBET in the limped pots.
yeah, so when you limp first in, you're betting the flop 51% of the time.
Okay.
So I would be doing more checking.
Okay. So like get that number down to like 45 then. It's probably reasonable.
Yeah, take a look. Take a look at some of the. Where is it? I might have closed it. Yeah, just take a look at Wizard in the limp pot should be reasonable until I finish a lot of sims, but the limp pot stuff should be reasonable in Wizard because um, the range is going to be roughly the same as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Although the one difference in Wizard is, and I can't figure out why they did this. However, the only c betting options that they have in limped pots are 75% and 150%. So like they'll either make you bet 1.5 big blinds, or they'll make you bet what 3 big blinds. And I bet 1 big
Yeah,
blind usually.
there's not enough ramps around it. So what I can probably do is I can probably run a sim just for the limp pots, and it'll give you all of the limp pots, flop, turn, and river. Um, but
I
the
think I think I'm going to do that in Pio.
accuracy will decrease.
I think I'm actually going to do that in Pio. I have generally like the limp ranges, and I'm going to put them in Pio and run a bunch of sims. In fact, I might actually already have them. Come to think of it, they're all run at like 50 big blinds because I didn't have enough RAM, but I think I actually do have like limped pots with the ranges that you ran in Monker. So I think we might be good. Yeah, yeah, I have limped pot sims. Great.
Yeah, great.
Um,
So take a look at some of them, compare some of them to wizard and try to get a better idea of it. Because
Mhm.
you'll want to have an edge over your opponent because you're going to be limping like 30% of the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you need to get good at knowing what to do.
Mhm. All right.
All right. So yeah, no more this weekend. We'll talk again after you come back on after you're done with the Monday session. Yeah.
Yes. Correct.
Okay. So let's go Monday UTC 2300 is evening your time. That's Tuesday morning my time.
Yes. Can we move it to like 23:15? Because the session like just wraps up at
Yeah.
2300.
Yeah. Sure.
Usually look at count
Yeah.
and whatever.
And we'll just go for half an hour. Let's make sure that it's at most half an hour because I have to leave at 2400. So it's
Okay.
pretty important that we don't go over time.
All right. Yeah. Just send me that Bitcoin address and we should be good to go.
All right. Right. And I'll make sure I upload these recordings. All right. See
Okay.
you on Monday.
Yep.